Good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. As you all know, I'm pretty sure, in the wake of last winter's MBTA meltdown, Governor Baker formed a special commission to review and recommend solutions. Key recommendations include establishing a special board to exclusively oversee the T and freeing the MBTA from the constraints of the so-called Pacheco Law, which establishes strict rules for public agencies that want to hire private contractors to do certain jobs. And these two provisions have been rejected by the state Senate. Here to talk about why and what's next is the co-chair of the legislature's Transportation Committee, Senator Tom McGee of Lynn. Senator, welcome.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much for making time to do this. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, just quickly before we get into the policy, I got to ask you, you also are chairman of the state Democratic Party and have been for a few years here. Is that a conflict of interest, given that the stated goal of the party, just as it is for the Republicans in reverse, is to replace Baker with a Democrat in 2018?
Well, I've been on the state committee for probably longer than I want to admit. I was elected in 1976, so I've been an activist as a Democrat my whole career, and I've also been in the legislature for a long time. And you stand up for things you believe in as a Democrat and policies, but more importantly, as a legislature, you work on things to make sure that we can work together to find solutions to serious problems we face. So I've done that my whole career. I've been able to both focus on things that I philosophically believe in as a Democrat, but just as importantly, I think I've been able to work with my colleagues in the legislature through Republican administrations to work on things that I think we can together find agreement on and find solutions to serious problems.
So you don't feel a tension there?
I think particularly on transportation, I've been on the state committee since 2003. I've chaired since 2011. I've been really focused on the issues on transportation to make a difference for all the citizens in the Commonwealth. Okay. My constituent is Governor Baker, so we know each other, and I'm a senator. So so I've known each other. I like the governor, but this is about policy. This is about trying to make sure that we create a system that's going to work for all of the citizens in the Commonwealth.
All right, well, let's talk about that. At the hearing, Transportation Committee hearing last week, the governor and the Secretary of Transportation flatly stated they aren't looking to substitute private contractors for T employees by getting this exemption from the Pacheco Law, but instead to supplement the existing workforce so that, for instance, long-delayed maintenance and repair work, such as signal, track, and switch work on the red line, can get done more quickly. Why not give them that ability?
Well, I think it's tough to explain in a short period of time. You'd have to look at the history between it's called the Voter Protection Act. That was what it was called. It was passed in the early 90s when there was a huge amount of privatization. There was substantial problems with that privatization. So that was passed. And if you look at the history and then the reality of 85% of those projects that have been submitted to the requirements under the law have actually been privatized. And just an example, and I know the Secretary was talking about this a bit on late night service, as that discussion was going on as a potential opportunity for privatization. And the question was asked, and I can't remember which one of my colleagues asked her the question, but she talked about how the T really wasn't, it was a money loser, and it was really struggling to keep late night service going, and that they didn't think the T could make it work. And my colleague said to her, well, then you're making the argument for, under the law, for a privatization opportunity and an option. So make that option. Go through the process that's been done in the past and work it through. So, and again, what we've done, there's two pieces here. We've got a bill in committee, which will continue, but we also put some pieces of governance in the budget. We didn't address the whole bill that's in front of the committee.
Do you argue that lifting the Pacheco Law, which is how it's commonly known, wouldn't save money and wouldn't result in more efficient service? Again,
I think if you look at the facts and of what's been done in the past, those operations that have been done, then it has worked. So I say, my contention is we continue to look towards that and use the law to move in other directions for the T.
I'm not following you. You're saying it has worked?
It has worked, and 85% of the time.
That it's good to do privatization when it meets the standards?
When it meets the standards, the law provides for a process to go through it, and I would argue that let's continue to do that, and if there's places at the T that they want to do it, then use this legislation, the law, to move forward.
All right, we have to take a short break. We'll continue our conversation about transportation reform with the co-chairman of the legislature's Transportation Committee, Senator Tom McGee. In a moment, stay with us.